guys, and welcome back to my channel. Today I am setting up my 2020 bullet journal for the second half of the year. I have decided to move from my Lloydstrom 1917 to try this Archer and Olive Blackout book, and I have been struggling a little bit with whether or not I want to move away from using my fountain pens to using gel pens just for the 6-month period. I am still fairly obsessed with my fountain pens, and I don't anticipate not using them for other things, but I do kind of want something fun for the next 6 months. There are a lot of things up in the air in regards to my life with work. I have some travel plans coming up that may or may not happen just because of what's going on right now in the world, but I decided to have my bullet journal be a source of joy and creativity by using the Archer and Olive Blackout book and going in and using some gel pens, which I haven't used for quite some time. I have already outlined what I want to put in my bullet journal. So what I'm going to do is I am going to speed through the setup and also provide a little bit of voiceovers just showing you what I am doing and why I have chosen to do that. Alright, so starting right from the beginning, I am putting in a table of contents because the Archer and Olive Blackout book does not come with a pre-made table of contents, so I'm putting that into the front. A little thing to note about this notebook is that it also does not have any numbered pages. This really kept me from trying the book for quite some time, but given that I might have some more flexibility over the next 6 months, I thought it would be a good time to try it. And I also think that I'm going to be putting in individual page numbers on each of the pages as I begin to use this notebook. Alright, moving on to this next, oh, that was my dog squeaking his squeaker toy. Next, I'm putting in a 6-month overview calendar. I'm using this for forward planning of things that require me to look at sequential weeks. So there's several things in my life that require me to track, say, 4 or 5 weeks in a row, and I just like to look at it all in one page rather than in my monthly overviews, which I'm going to be doing right after this. So I just put it as a 6-month overview. It's also a nice place to put things for long-term planning, things like half days of schools or days I have off from work. So that's what I put in this 6-month overview. It does take quite some time to grid this calendar out, but I think it's totally worth it. Now I am going in and writing in the months on the side panel of both sides. That way I know what month corresponds to what color. Each of the colors that I use here I'm also going to be using throughout the month in my monthly overviews and also when I do my weeklies, which I'll be pre-filling for the 26 weeks of the second half of 2020. I'm going to put in a monthly overview, so a full 2-page spread for each month. I'm starting off with July and I'm going to grid these out. The boxes for the months are 6 boxes across and 7 boxes in length. Now I'm putting in all the days of the week as well as all of the numbers for each of the dates in July. These monthly overviews also gave me an opportunity to use my Simply Gilded seals. I've been wanting to use them for such a long time, so I was able to use them on these monthly overviews. That was just July, but hang out till the end of the video and you'll see what all my months look like. After the 2-page monthly spreads, I am making a more conventional future log. So here I have 6 columns, all are 8 boxes wide, and I'm doing a small calendar for January through June of 2021 so that I can write any future plans. This is different than my 6-month overview that I made at the beginning of the bullet journal before the monthly overviews, because those covered the current months, which are July through December. This is covering the next 6 months, which is January through June of next year. So here is my future log. Next up is my important notes page. I used a sticker from Planning with Kay in the bottom right hand corner, and it has a yellow hue. I'm not sure if the camera is picking it up, but I used a bright yellow gel pen to put important. I also have a little reference there in the back of my notebook that has all of the gel pens that I have. In case I'm looking for a color, I can reference it back there. Important notes is where I keep some reference points that I use frequently, and that has ended up being one of the most referenced pages in my last bullet journal. Moving right along, I have a page for values. I am trying to identify both my personal values and my family values so that I know that when I'm doing something, I'm being kind of consistent with my value system. To the right of that is my personal policies and my family policies. We tend to have our policies documented so that when a decision needs to be made and only one of us is around, like let's say my son's trying to make a decision or my husband or I'm trying to make a decision, we have some family rules that we live by. One that kind of we're famous for in my family or my extended family is that we only spend one night staying with relatives. If we're ever going to be visiting for longer than one day, then we spring for a hotel room. So that's one of the things that, an example of one of the policies that we have. Sometimes setting these boundaries makes things easier for us. Next up is a gift list where I write down anything that I think might make a good gift for my son or my husband or anyone in my family. I decorated that with some Fox and Pip stickers. And on the right hand side, I am doing our travel miles. We are part of reward systems for multiple airlines, so that is where I write all of our loyalty numbers. On the opposite side is a 2-page spread for my wish list for things that I would like to purchase for the next 6 months. Opposite of that is my Happy Mail tracker, and this allows me to see things that I have ordered, if I have gone ahead and ordered them, if they have shipped, and if I have received them. Next up is my movie spread, and this is where I write movies that I'm interested in seeing, either in the theaters when those reopen, or on Netflix, or anything I'm interested in watching on TV. So that is where I put that. On the opposite side, I am writing things that I am interested in doing in Boston. So if you are a regular watcher of this channel, you might know that we are a military family, so we move around quite a bit. We moved to Boston just about a year ago, but because we have been on lockdown for the past 4 months or so, we haven't really been able to go into Boston proper and do many of the things that we're interested in doing there. And also, just whenever we are stationed anywhere, I have a running list of things that I want to do while I am in that part of the country. So I hope that Boston Red Sox fans will be kind to my attempt here at writing or sketching out the Boston B from the Boston Red Sox. I looked at some of their merchandise and it looks like it's two B's on the inside and then there's some sharp edges, so I tried to do the best that I could there. On the next page, I keep a running list of vocabulary words. When I run into a word that I don't know that I think is interesting in my reading, I put it down on a vocabulary list, and that's how I continue to expand my vocabulary. And on the right hand side, I have a someday maybe list for things that I might want to do someday. I don't have any specific plans for that. If you're a David Allen fan from Getting Things Done, you will know or be more familiar with the Someday Maybe list. Here is my short-term financial goals. This is for the next 6 months. I have 3 goals. I am trying to have a 3 to 6 month emergency fund, which is my savings account. I need to save about $15,000 the second half of this year. I want to save $12,000 for a new car, and I also have the last of my student loans, which are $10,000, and that is what I'm saving. One of my goals for the next 6 months is to read at least 8 books. So I have made a spread to track the books that I have already read and books that I am interested in reading. So here I am labeling, or I'm making a list 1 through 8 of books that I have read, and then under that I'm writing books that I'm interested in reading. On the right hand side, I have a quotes page. I like to put quotes that I come across not just in books but throughout my life, and I go ahead and drop them into that spread. We are coming to one of the last spreads in the very beginning of my bullet journal, so I keep my collections at the very beginning, which is what I'm setting up today. I want to do an ideal day, and I think this is a little bit optimistic right now, given just the state of the world and what's going on. My days are sometimes irregular. I've definitely fallen out of some habits. I used to have some pretty well-established habits for how my day would go and some routines, but now I want to attempt to start gaining some control. On the right-hand side, I am going to have my ideal weekday, and on the left-hand side, I'm having my ideal weekend. I also have a spot for each day of the week, and what I do with that is those are routines that I'm trying to establish. So let's say I'd like to do laundry on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. That is where I put down that routine so that I keep consistent and I start reestablishing some sense of order within our household. Alright guys, that is about it. I look forward to sharing with you all how the collections evolve over time. And now here is a flip through of my completed bullet journal for the second half of 2020.